Mistakes I made on my road to $100,000 a month. So I'm about to be transparent with you guys. I know a lot of things that you see online is like only like the good stuff, the lifestyle, the money, the cars, whatever, right? I'm about to, be sharing, some of my struggles and things I've faced and mistakes I've made, along my journey. A lot of you are watching, you may be across that 100K mark, or, it's probably loading for you. So yeah, man, hopefully you guys, take some value from this video. Okay, so one mistake that I made was not sticking to one thing. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for the past 6 years. I've tried, a lot of different things. At one point I was in network marketing. At one point I was a full-time day trader. I tried fucking Amazon before. I've tried a lot of these different things, and it was even at one point where I was fucking trying to do day trading and I was trying to do credit at the same time, because at one point, like, I didn't want to give up like that day trading identity. I didn't want it to look like I switched industries, because it was like my ego, man. Whenever you're doing something, right, let's say you're doing a business model, whatever the case may be, you made it public, people know that you're doing it, and if people see you switch, it's sort of like you failed at it, or you quit or gave up and things like that. And I really just didn't want that feeling, or I was trying to like be like reluctant, to that feeling, or to it looking like that. It hindered me because I was trying to balance the two. Whether if I would have just said fuck trading and went credit all the way, I would have made a lot of money way faster, because credit changed my life. Like, trading changed my life too, but I'm talking about like credit put me in them different income brackets, like real deals. And it took me a couple months. It took me damn near 7 to 8 months to fully like transition. Honestly, probably took me longer than that. It really took me a year, if I'm keeping it all the way 100. It took me a year to fully transition. But sometimes I be thinking like, damn, how much fucking money I would have made if I would have just, went all in sooner. Also, if it's any advice that you really take away from this video, every single business model works. It's just, are you gonna stick with it long enough for it to pan out for you, right? I feel like at the time where I just was like mentally and things like that, I just felt like credit suited the long-term version of where I wanted to go. And even though I'm telling you, to stick to one thing, always understand that you can reinvent yourself, as many times as you want to. But just understand that every single thing works. It's just, are you gonna stick with it long enough, right? Whenever I made that decision, it was like a conscious decision, like on my mental, because I had a credit business already built up. I literally let go of all that to build the credit shit from zero. I wanted to be in a more stabilized industry. Now, the next thing, a mistake that I made was hesitating on mentorships. So whenever I really started to get in like credit heavy, as far as like on the business funding side, it was this mentor that one of my bros had, and he been going crazy for months, and he told me about it. You guys probably never seen this guy before. I never tagged him on IG or anything like that. He's like kind of off the grid now. He told me and one of my other bros about this guy that was doing funding. We didn't take action like immediately. Like, we've been new for months, and we just waited, and then that's whenever months down the line, I was like, man, something gotta change. Like, I'm ready for that next level. I finally did it, and that mentorship changed my life. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the income drastically increased over the next couple of months, and yeah, that one put me on a different income bracket for sure. It's like I've been new about that. Like, by example, I think I invested into that mentorship. It was like in September or October. No, it's actually going into October. This is like years ago. It was going into like October, but I knew about it since like February of that year, and I knew the price, and I had the money, but I didn't invest, and I hesitated. Shit, I could have made way more fucking money that year, I could have done a lot, but as you know, everything happens for a reason, God's plan. But that's just something that I wish I didn't hesitate on that much. Like, I just, at the time, like, it just would have put me ahead further. Like, the next mistake I made is not tracking data. So coming up, I was just like a hope and pray or spray and pray type of guy. I used to go a lot off my emotions and not enough data, right? Basically, I wasn't tracking everything. So basically what spraying and praying mean, like what do I mean by that is you throwing something to the wall over and over and over again, hoping it stick, right? And it's sticking a lot of times. It's sticking more times than not. But, you know, as it's sticking, you're starting to spend more. You're starting to live a way crazier lifestyle. So the couple times that it's not sticking, you're starting to think that it's something wrong when there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just you going off your emotions of how you feel at that moment versus the data that is being, you know, versus actually, you know, tracking the data. Like, data is king, guys. Data does not lie. That actually stopped me a lot because, by example, you could be getting a lot of sales. I would track my ads on a week-to-week basis and sometimes like even like a month basis. By example, let's say in week 1 you're getting a lot of sales on Monday and Tuesday, right? And then the sales are starting to die off Wednesday, Thursday, whatever the case may be, right? Then let's say week 2, the sales are slow on Monday and Tuesday and even on Wednesday, but then the sales pick up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if you don't track the data, that can make you feel some type of way emotionally, right? Because you going based on how you feel, what you're just like looking at in those moments, versus like if you track the data, you will see that week 1 and week 2 got you the same amount of sales. So it's really nothing wrong, or it's in the same range. So it's really nothing wrong. It's just that occurred at different times, you know? That is a mistake. I should have started tracking data sooner. Next mistake is I stopped personally developing. I'm a big like mindset guy. You know, I come from like an MLM network marketing background, so I'm kind of big on mindset. Sometimes, you know, I just stop. You know, sometimes I just stop listening to personal development. I stop taking things day by day, and it kind of hinders me over a period of time. But now how I was able to kind of like fix that. Also too, whenever you start personally developing, at least for me, you start to kind of like think a little bit negatively. But what I've done to kind of combat that is whenever I go work out in the gym, I stop listening to music and I only listen to like personal development stuff, or I watch like YouTube videos or things like that. But it really be mainly mindset stuff in the gym, so that way I can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Next mistake I made, I used to be real cheap with hiring employees. Also, I didn't really do my due diligence. I really didn't check like how my employees day-to-day would look like. By example, you can be very frustrated if you have a United States employee and you're not paying them top dollar, right? So if you're not paying them top dollar, because we know how expensive it is to live in the United States, you may want to go the VA route. You may want to go to the VA route because it's probably more in your budget, and that's probably a lot of money for them in their country, you know, or it's a good amount of money for them in their country. So that way you both are kind of like helping each other out, and you have someone on your hands that's not half-assing your work. I'm not gonna lie, like at one point, this was a couple years back, I had an employee from the United States. It was like a assistant. I ain't gonna lie, I went through a couple assistants in the United States. Never, no, like that's not my I ain't gonna say never, but it's like when it comes to certain like just tasks, VA is just way better. I was paying the United States assistant, right? And this is like I'm trying to get the business like off the ground, more so trying to scale. I was paying her like $150 a week, right? $150 a week, but it wasn't super long hours. It was just like little like admin tasks. They were just answering. Really, all they would do is just answering. It was like customer service, just answering questions whenever they got messaged, and it was piss poor. I mean, what do you expect though? It's like they're in the United States, $150 a week. Like, what is that truly gonna do for them, right? Then it's like you can switch to a VA, or basically why that was a mistake is because, like, you know, they just wasn't doing their job. You know, a lot of complaints and things like that with the business. So then therefore also, you know, what the average United States person, what are they doing? They're going to the gym, they fucking going to Starbucks, they're doing all of this stuff, right? Versus a VA, they're probably just staying at their screen damn near. If it's an 8-hour shift, they probably can be at their screen 6 out of the 8 hours or 7 out of the 8 hours, just straight grinded, you know? Or they're just clocked in, they're just on the clock. That's a mistake. I was being cheap with hiring, and it cost me in that moment. And how I combated that was just hiring overseas. And another mistake I made in business is not running ads sooner. I used to be very reliant on organic marketing, and that is just too unpredictable. I used to be very reliant on organic marketing, and that is just too unpredictable. So yeah, I should have been running ads a lot sooner to just have more predictable cash flow and to just, you know, pour fuel on the fire. So these are mistakes that I made on the road to $100,000 monthly. Hopefully you guys took some value and some gain for this, man. Also, if you guys want to learn how to start your own credit company, I'm gonna put the link in the description box below, or me and you can hop on a call one-on-one and just see if this is the right move for you, man. I appreciate you guys for watching. See you guys at the top because the bottom is just an option. I'm going.